Oral questions, question orale. The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
After 9 years, this Liberal-NDP government is just not worth the cost of homelessness and hunger that Canadians are facing. Even Canadians who own their own homes are worried that they will become homeless when they have to renew their mortgages at much higher interest rates. Some payments will even triple, according to a new report. When will this government rein in their inflationary spending so more Canadians don't have to worry about homelessness? Yeah.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, it's certainly well known that grocery price inflation is a problem that all countries are facing around the world. Grocery price inflation in Canada, there's some good news that just came in with a report that shows that food price inflation is in fact coming down in Canada. It's at 1.4% in April, down from 1.9% from the month before. That is certainly encouraging news for Canadians, but it's cold comfort for sure. We're actually addressing the root causes of the issue by increasing competition in the marketplace and investing in a national school food program. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
After 9 years, grocery prices have actually gone up under this Liberal-NDP government. And now Canadians are facing hunger and homelessness at unprecedented rates. This Liberal-NDP Prime Minister is just not worth the cost. Of the mortgages outstanding as of February 2024, 76% of them will be up for renewal in 2026. When will this Liberal-NDP Prime Minister stop his inflationary spending so Canadians can afford food and shelter once again?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, let's note, first of all, that this is the same member who called for Canada to exit the United Nations. This is the same member who sat down with other members of her caucus with far-right European politicians. But to the substance of the question, she talks about homelessness. She ought to read the most recent report of the Parliamentary Budget Officer that makes clear that no less than 50,000 Canadians have been supported by this government's national housing strategy, and specifically the Reaching Home program, that they would cut because they have an austerity agenda that they are ideologically committed to, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Haldeman Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals love to deflect away from Canadian suffering. The facts are, after 9 years of this Liberal-NDP government, they are still not worth the cost of homelessness and hunger that Canadians are feeling. According to the Parliamentary Budget Officer, chronic homelessness is up 38% across Canada. Nearly 80% of all homeless people say they just can't afford a home to live in. When will this NDP Liberal government cap their inflationary spending and build the homes that Canadians need to live in dignity?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And again, ironic coming from a member who has been advocating and has actually written a petition to this House of Commons for Canada to leave the United Nations altogether. We see yet again more disinformation from the Conservative members on climate change and affordability, two issues that they either don't understand or simply don't care about. If they did care, they would acknowledge that Canada is reducing our pollution and inflation is coming down. But the Leader of the Opposition wants to scrap it all. He doesn't want Canadians to receive their Canada carbon rebate on July 15th. He just wants to make sure his rich oil and gas friends can pollute even more and get even richer, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this Prime Minister, more and more Quebecers are hungry. I was in Abitibi last week, and at the Rwanda Food Bank, there's a very worrisome situation. 54% of the people who go there have a job. We're talking about people who work, who have a paycheck, who have money but don't have enough of it to buy food. That's Canada after 9 years of this Liberal government, with the Bloc blindly voting for $500 billion in inflationary spending. Is the government aware of this waste? The Honourable Minister, my colleague across the way, seems unaware of what we've lived through the past few years. We've been there for people, although they want to cut everywhere. We are here for food security. We have a school food program in partnership with programs. We also have the Canada Child Benefit. Remember when they were in power, they gave everyone the same check but we have lifted many children out of poverty. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Things are working so well. Look what happens in my riding of Lorettaville area. It's an unusual situation, something I thought I'd never see in my lifetime. On a website, someone wrote, I was wondering if someone could trade me 2 or 3 home-cooked meals for some work. I can fix just about anything. Mr. Speaker, we're talking about a man asking for food. That's what's happening after 9 years of this government. Is the government is aware that when they rack up compulsive deficits, we're left with this situation. The Honourable Minister of National Revenue. Mr. Speaker, true, people are having a hard time. Also in my riding, I visit people and across the province and the country as well. We meet with people at food banks and with our partners. We went through a pandemic and abnormal inflation, but inflation is coming down. And because we are making the right decisions and focusing our investment and help on people who have the most need, the greatest need.